This is the Flipping Junkie Podcast, episode 176. Everybody, thank you for joining me again on the Flipping Junkie Podcast. I've got a super special episode. I think I might say that every time, but seriously, this time I'm super excited to let you guys know what's going on. I've missed a couple weeks in the podcast because I've been preparing for what direction I want to take with Flipping Junkie, and I've been talking about this for a little while. I want to change direction. I feel like there's been a little bit of discontinuity, I guess, what's the right word for that? But having just kind of disjointed information, right? Like having a podcast episode about this thing and then 2 weeks later about something completely different. I like there to be more of a direction for it, right? So that one follows another and there's this sort of like a story going on, or, this line of information that follows one after the other and builds upon the previous one. So that's what I want to talk about. I've been kind of planning that out and trying to figure it out. And really the delay, if I'm being completely honest, is just fear, right? Like fear of putting it out there, of the commitment, all that kind of stuff. And if I'm honest with myself, that's why I've been delaying. I've been procrastinating because of it. But I'm just going to put it out there and see where it goes, right? I'm going to have fun with it. I'm not going to try to overplan it and, try to stick to some very strict, well thought out, it's got to be this way or it's not going to work. And I'm saying all of this because I encourage you to do this with your house flipping business as well, right? Let's see where it goes. Let's be curious about what each day is going to bring and how we're going to do that and have fun with that. That's how we enjoy the day to day. And that's what I'm all about these days, is just figuring out how to accomplish what I want to accomplish, but not be so bent on having it work out exactly the way that I'm thinking it will, like planning out, because that's what's creating the stress, right? That's what creates the procrastination. But if it's just having an idea and getting started and taking the action, we can see where it goes and what develops. And, for myself, I found that's when I have the most fun. So with all of that said, I'm starting over again in real estate investing. I've talked about this in the last several episodes, and a couple times before, but that's what's happening. I'm inviting you guys to join me though on this adventure. So basically you're going to get a chance to look at, a real look at what it's like for a successful real estate investor, even a bit rusty one, if I'm truly honest about it, to navigate a market that's changed. And, basically I'm looking at it like everything needs to be relearned. I don't want to think that I already know everything, I'm just going to do it again. It's not that way at all. I want to go in with a fresh perspective as if I don't know anything and work through how I'm going to do it, right? How I'm going to get back into this business and set it up to be a thing that I'm enjoying doing every single day. And I'm inviting you to follow along with that. I do take comfort in knowing, though, that the basics of real estate investing, house flipping, wholesaling, all that kind of stuff remain mostly the same. There's some key concepts in there that don't really change. For example, buying as low as possible is how you safely make money in this business, and that will never change. And so, there's some key things like that. So this episode, I'm going to be talking about why I'm doing this, what exactly I'm going to be sharing, how you can help if you would like to, and that's what we're going to talk about. So what happened, right? What happened that's causing me to do this? If you haven't listened in a while, you might be thinking, well, I didn't know that you had stopped even being active in real estate investing for any length of time. And, really, I've not been directly involved in the house flipping wholesaling business for several years due to the switch in focus over to software, right? That software that, if Lead Propeller, real estate investor websites, it's been a thing that we've been working on for a really long time, and it's been a great business, helped a lot of investors get that online presence. And also been developing Flip Pilot, the lead management software. So I've been focused on that, and through some really big life changes, specifically divorce from Melissa. That's in another episode where I talked about that and was real vulnerable in that, and just putting out there what was going on and what had happened. But my ex-wife, Melissa, and I got started flipping houses in 2003. We weathered the storm created by the crash in 2008. Built a team, scaled the business, starting, I think that was around 2016 or so. We started building the team and doing that. And over the years, we've generated thousands of motivated seller leads, thousands upon thousands, and flipped and wholesaled over 600 houses. I don't know what that exact number is. It might even be closer to 800, but I know for sure over 600 houses during the years. And with the team in place, my focus had transitioned to full-time development of Lead Propeller and Flip Pilot. But during the divorce, I had a chance to have coffee with my mentor from real estate investing. And a question he asked me caused a wave of enthusiasm to rise up within me. And he asked, now that this has happened, what are you going to get? Are you going to get back into real estate investing? And I hadn't even considered it at all. But when he asked that question, I immediately felt the answer rise up from within, this excitement. It was like, yes, absolutely. That's what I want to do. And it was just crazy. It felt like it wasn't a logical, it wasn't a process of thinking through, if I do this, what will happen? None of that stuff. It just came up and was just like something I knew, excuse me, that I really wanted to do. It came from the heart, not from the head. And so absolutely. And so there was a no-brainer. I love this business. I love the long-term wealth it can create. And it was fully realized as we separated assets during the divorce. It turns out, odd enough, who would have thunk it, but real estate has a tendency to increase in value over time, right? It's this amazing investment vehicle, the best that's out there, the safest, I think, if it's done right. And and it's perfect. I love it, and I absolutely want to get back into it personally, being involved, and even starting out with just me, right? Not starting out with a team, just me getting into this. At the same time, I also want to mention that I've matured as a result of the divorce and all the things that happened with that. It's pretty much, let me get a drink real quick. There's really nothing like a broadside disruption of what you hold dear and all important to cause you to consider what you're doing with your life, how you're living your life, and how every day is. And so I did a deep dive within myself over the last year and a half and really got honest with myself. I realized that my life had become stale long ago. And I spent my time hiding from the fact that I wasn't happy and didn't know what the hell to do about it. I was basically asleep at the wheel of my life. It sounds kind of crazy and weird to say, but I needed to wake the hell up. And that's what I've been taking steps to do and understanding myself, and I think that's why I even mentioned at the beginning of it, just like getting back in without thinking that I know everything already, right? Because I think at the end of the day, with the amount of knowledge that there is in everything, we don't really know anything, right? like if you look at everything on a big enough scale, we really don't know anything, and we start to think that we know everything is the end, right? So it's just not a good thing. So, opening back up into that curiosity and looking within, I realized that as I'm getting into, back into this business, how much I had been operating from fear and, this worry, for years and years. I realized I'd built walls around myself to protect myself, and I became so narrow-minded I couldn't enjoy life as much as I wanted to because I was so busy trying to make sure everything didn't fall apart, right? Like we can put it out there that everything seems great, all these vacations, all this kind of stuff, but really there's this like underlying anxiety that things were just had to be controlled and had to be held up, otherwise it was all going to fall apart, it was all going to come crumbling down. I had to keep pushing forward, have to keep doing all this stuff. And I bring it up because that big wake up helped me realize how fear was keeping me from enjoying life. Every day is an opportunity to experience something new and enjoy it, no matter what it is, right? Good or bad. And I think this is crucial for all of us. So we can set and achieve goals until we're blue in the face, but those quick shots of accomplishment cannot compare to what is possible if we figure out how to make each day fun, right? Let's enjoy it now. Let's not always wait until we get that success, till we get that, suppose that level of freedom that we're shooting for. Enjoy life now, right? Enjoy life as it comes and approach it that way and work at approaching it that way. So if you're not where you want to be, join the club, right? It's okay. I'm not where I want to be, and will likely never be completely where I want to be, because otherwise, what is that? That's the end, right? That's usually death, right? You're not gonna, you're always gonna have something, another place where you want to grow into, and that's great, right? It's not get somewhere to be good and to be okay. Be okay now, right? Work on that, focus on that. So I've decided at work to work on changing, to become open to whatever happens every single day. And it might not go the way I want, but I can experience it fully and find joy in it. And I feel that this is what separates those that achieve but are miserable and those that achieve and are alive and living life, right? Awake, fully awake. So all this to say is that I will be sharing the good, bad, the ugly as I get back in real estate investing. And I'll be sharing the inner and the outer, what's happening in the business and what's happening inside of me as I work to build financial freedom, so that I'm not operating from that place of fear or trying to get to this place to be okay, the end goal. So sharing with you all of it, right? Like that scares me somewhat, but I feel like it's a calling that I have to do that, right? And that's why I procrastinated even getting this episode out. But I feel like this is drawing the line in the sand. This is where I'm stepping over and claiming, that to commit to sharing that with you. And I'm super looking forward to doing it. It's just a matter of pushing through, taking that initial action and seeing where it takes me, right? And like I said, I hope you see the parallels with this business and even growing the business or doing other things in your life. It's like making that commitment to draw the line in the sand, see where it takes you, taking the next step, not knowing what's going to happen. And so as I grapple with that inevitable fear, I'll be working to know that that's what, trusting that God, life will produce and provide what I need at the moment as it comes up. So this is, as I was considering this, I was thinking this is really a lot like the hero's journey, right? Like any great movie, you have a hero's journey where it consists of a hero that goes on an adventure, ends up in crisis and being challenged, right? Overcoming that challenge makes the hero a success, but the real reward is in the transformation, right? The parallel transformation the hero must go through to make it, right? To have that success. So we're all rooting them on for that success, that outward, accomplishment, but alongside of it, at the end, you realize that there was a transformation that's even more powerful, even more beneficial and incredible. So you might be reading this thinking that you'll be following along on my hero's journey, watching me transform, but that's not completely what I intend. It's much bigger than that, really. And I hope that you see that it's really about you being the hero. This is your hero's journey, and I'm just giving you a mission and hope you accept that challenge to see what I'm doing for myself and my hero's journey, but letting that be, something to show that, we all deal with these issues and these fears and stuff like that, and pushing through and allowing yourself permission to, take that frightening step, take that next necessary action that, we might be procrastinating and avoiding at all costs because there's so many other things that we can keep busy with that are so much more comfortable. But is that really a fun life, right? Like it's the adventure that comes from not knowing what's going to happen next, taking a leap of faith, doing something, putting yourself out there. That's where the excitement is, right? And I think I want to get back to that, right? I want to get back to that in my life, and that's what I'm doing. That's a part of all of this. So to join me in discovering, so the mission is to make a true go at real estate investing, to achieve financial freedom, but more importantly, to transform myself in the process, right? And I hope the same for you. I hope you see this as your hero's journey, and you're following along and doing the same things in your own way, whatever that means for you. Not just doing what I'm doing, but seeing that as an opportunity to do the same thing, to move past the fear. And if you have the fear, you can share that with me, talk with me, and we can talk through it, right? That's what I want. I want to communicate it. I don't want it just to be an island where I'm doing this and it's just for you to watch. I want you to get out there and do that too. And then when that inevitable fear comes up, if you've got something that you want to talk about, I'm open, right? I want to be there to talk with you about that. I didn't think about saying that. It just it's coming up, but I feel like that's what I want, right? So if you're facing that, if you've got that concern or something, communicate with me, and I'll tell you how to do that at the end of this podcast episode. Because that's what this is all about. It's helping us move past together, right? Like, so let's get in this together to discover more about who we truly are as individuals and finding joy within each and every day, like I mentioned, to find joy in the day-to-day rather than waiting for the end goal to be achieved, to finding out what it means for each of us as our idea of success should be our own. You might want to be a big flipping company doing 100 deals a year, multiple markets, all that kind of stuff. Great. You might want to be the business builder to build the business up and work your way out of it. That's great. That's fine. You might also just be completely happy with the lifestyle that only doing 5 deals a year provides. That's perfectly awesome too. That answer's got to come from you, right? I can't tell you this is the way to do it. This is the way to success, happiness, financial freedom. This is what is meant for your life. We can only do that for ourselves. And sometimes I wish those decisions did come from somewhere else, right? I wish I could call my dad and say, hey, what's the right thing here? But a lot of times that stuff has to come from us. We have to find a way to tap into that. And I'll be talking about that too over the weeks coming up. What I do to help make those decisions for myself, right? Not always look to what other people are doing. I want to figure out what comes up from within me, just like the getting back into this business did, and following along with what I'm drawn to and what matters to me. So that's really cool, and I'm really excited about that. So Flipping Junkie's new direction is going to be all about this, right? Not random posts about different topics within real estate investing, house flipping, wholesaling. Flipping Junkie is taking a new direction about action and what it means to take that action, what the hurdles are, and just moving forward. So the blog and podcast will now be a platform which I document what I'm doing to build financial freedom through real estate investing, and maybe even more importantly, right, enjoying life along the way. I'm not gonna tell you what you should or shouldn't do, only that you can do that for yourself. I'm not you, you're not me, I'm not a guru, I don't know all the answers. This journey is to discover the answers for myself, and the hope is that you can use it as inspiration to find your answers. You might have been reading this also, or I'm sorry, not reading, but you might have been listening to this and thought, well, I mean, you've shared that before where you got into the business and flipping houses exposed. And I have, and it's different, right, though? And I'm going to share the differences this time around, which I'm super excited about. But if you didn't know, Flipping Houses Exposed is when I created a book from blog posts that I created back in I think it was 2010, 2011, where I documented every single week of everything that I did, all the leads that came in, the marketing that I did to get those leads, why they were selling, how I analyzed the deals, when I made an offer, how much I offered and why, all that kind of stuff. I documented for 34 weeks, and that became that book, Flipping Houses Exposed. And you can get that book on Amazon or on Flipping Junkie as a free PDF. And looking back, the best part of doing those blog posts back then in Flipping Junkie was the feedback I was getting. First, it held me accountable to the plan that I set out of what I was going to do, and then executing that every single week. And it was a lot of work, but the second part of the feedback is what truly made it all worthwhile. So many people contacted me to tell me how the blog posts were showing them that it was entirely possible for them to do the same. They saw that there was nothing special about what I was doing, right? There was nothing special. Like, we want to look for something that's super amazing, going to blow our mind and help us to be able to get through it. But really, there was nothing special. It was just showing that it was possible, and it was not that difficult. It helped a lot of people remove the excuses they were using to keep them in the comfort zone. And I also, thinking back too, I totally cherish all of the friendships that began as a result of this series of blog posts. And so that's that community part of this. This can be a really lonely business with us, working on our own thing. And so this is another part of what I want, is this community. So even though I felt I covered everything possible in those posts back then in the 34 weeks, I left something out that's something that was very extremely important. And had I shared it, I think more people would have not stayed on the sidelines and actually got into this business. So I'm not going to leave that out this time. I've already touched on this. And what I'm doing this time is, I'm going to be sharing what I'm dealing with inside of myself as I embark on the adventure. What's likely to be there and what already is in there, like I told you, is fear. And even experienced investors have fear. It's what we're doing with that fear that's going to make a difference. That does make a difference. And I want to talk about this aspect of the business. Of course, it's relative to me and my experiences, but the hope is that it allows you to realize that we're in the same boat. It's not just me that sometimes has intense anxiety and a driving fear that if I stop for a single moment, everything's going to collapse and fall apart around me. My good friend Don Costa, I love him to death. We were talking about what struggles many investors have in the business. And he mentioned something very profound in that conversation. He said that though most of the time the mentions are about surface level things like I don't have the money, I don't know where to get the money, my market's too competitive, I don't know what marketing to do, where to start, I don't know what to say to sellers when they call. A lot of times those are just surface level struggles that we're holding on to, whether we know it or not, because they're keeping us in our comfort zone and keeping us having a reason to need to learn more. Once we feel like we've learned that enough to maybe get by, we've got another one of those surface level problems that we've come up with, so we can learn more about that, right? We can buy another course to cover that. And really, at the end of the day, the real struggle is just this core issue of this fear that we're just having a hard time moving past, right? And so that's, while all those things can be valid problems, it's more likely just an excuse to stay in the comfort zone. Those problems can be overcome, but the fear should be talked about, examined, and accepted, not rejected, not pushed away saying, how come I'm afraid of this? Those other guys that are doing all this in this business don't have that. Why do I have it? And then shame comes in and you've got all those issues. So it's just like this never-ending cycle of that kind of thing. But I think getting to the point where you acknowledge the fear that you have, understand that we all have it, be okay with it, and decide to go ahead and take some action, move forward anyway. All right, because I think that's the make or break for a lot of people. It's not happening, and we don't know why in anything in life, right? So this is huge. I want to make sure that I cover this kind of thing and just be open and honest with what I'm experiencing, just like I was talking about with doing this post even. In this podcast episode and the blog post, because it's not easy for me, but I decided just to do it, right? I don't know if I'm going to stay on track with, I might not even get a deal for 3-4 months. I mean, all that stuff could happen, right? I might not get any leads to even talk about. Like, all this stuff could happen, but so what? Like, at the end of the day, who cares? Right? If I'm still showing how I'm still pushing along and trying new things to get those leads and deals, it's all good, right? It's going to help people. So, and it's just fun, right? So if we expect that we have to get a deal within a month and I have to get all these leads start pouring in right away, and if they don't, how does that look? Who cares, right? It really doesn't matter at the end of the day. And that's where the suffering comes in, and we start to bail because our expectations were not met. Let's not have concrete expectations. Let's just see what happens. Anyway, okay, so literally, I'll be sharing some of the things that I've found over the last year and a half to greatly reduce my anxiety and help me feel like a real wide awake, alive person. I'm a work in progress, but I'm making progress. All right, and I hope that you can see the same for yourself. But really, I can say that for myself. I'm a work in progress. I'm making progress, and I want to share that. I want to share what I'm doing outside of real estate investing, more for personal development, because I think sometimes we get to the point where we feel like we've done that, we've made some success, and that we don't need further personal development. But I think it's always there, right? So I want to share that stuff. And, if that's not your sort of thing, I get it. If you want nuts and bolts, there's plenty of blogs and podcasts for that kind of stuff. But this is the approach that I'm taking, and I'm super pumped about it. So, yeah, I mean, if you're really liking what I'm talking about, I urge you to go to Flipping Junkie to the blog, leave some comments, let me know that you're going to be following along, and I want to know and meet who I'm going to be, presenting a lot of this to. I want to, like I said, I want communication, And so, yeah, just leave a comment over there on the blog or on the YouTube video. The YouTube channel will have this video posted on there too. You can leave a comment there as well. But let's start to interact. And I want you to know that I'm there and I'll be available as much as possible to talk directly with you, even if that is private chat or something. So anyway, let's go, right? Let's get into this. So within the next week, I'm going to be posting specifics on my game plan. The plan consists of an achievable goal, why that goal is what it is, and how I reverse engineered that to work down to what I need to do right now. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing the why, my financial goal, number of deals I need to reach to get that to that goal, the number of leads likely to be needed to be able to get that number of deals, and the marketing I'm going to be doing to generate all those leads, right? So reverse engineering, and I think even that process of seeing how to do that, which I've touched on in a previous episode, is so super valuable and important because it gives us a way to start measuring and managing, right, what we're doing with our time, how we're taking action to get to this eventual goal. In addition to that, I'm going to be sharing the tools that I use to manage this business. And this is key, right? This is super, super key. This is a big difference from what I was doing before with the blog post. Because as I look back at what I accomplished during those 34 weeks of documenting my business that became Flipping Houses Exposed book, I realized that I did only, I think it was 11 deals from that 495 leads that I generated in those 34 weeks that I documented. That sucks, right? That's only one deal out of every 45 leads, which is horrible. And don't get me wrong, like it was great to do those and to show that and to show generating, get some more leads and do the deals. But I've learned so much since then, and I'm super excited to show you what I've learned to help, getting to where even at one point I think we had our team where we were contracting like 1 out of every 5 leads was becoming a deal. Yeah, which is way, way better, right? With that same ratio, with that 495 leads that I documented, that could have been something like more, with that same ratio, would have been, I think, 99 deals, right? Crazy. Instead of 11, 99. Like, it's a huge thing. So, being that it's just me in the beginning here, I'm not expecting to turn 1 out of every 5 leads into a deal. That's not realistic. But I know that there's a lot of stuff that I've learned over the years I will be sharing to improve that lead to deal ratio, so it's not 1 out of every 45 leads. At least I pray it's not, right? So I'm a bit rusty, so it's not going to be super great right away, but it's going to be fun, right? This is going to be a lot of fun getting into it, doing what I'm doing, adjusting every single week to what's happening and what I need to do next, and just seeing what comes up, right? Seeing what happens. So if you're interested in all of this, if this excites you, if this is something that you're like, okay, I'm even if I've been in the business for a little bit, but I want deal consistency and I want to go full time, maybe this is a great thing also for you to be checking out. If you're brand new, this is also for sure like to be able to see, steps being taken in an orderly fashion, having these podcast episodes have this sort of sequence to them to join along and see how it all works. With me showing you the real stuff of what I'm dealing with, which is still scary as hell to me, but I want to do it, right? Because who cares? Like, I don't know. I'm just not I don't care as much anymore about what people think of me. It's still there, obviously, but I'm working at moving past that, and I'm going to use this as a way to do that. So I'm excited about it. How to follow along. If you are excited about this, I'm going to be doing Facebook Lives randomly. I might put a schedule to it. Again, I'm going to see how this unfolds. I don't want to commit to something that burns me out and makes me drop out of it. I'm going to see it unfold. I'm going to do what feels right as I go on. Facebook Lives, doing these podcast recordings and blog posts on the blog. So if you want to follow along, I suggest you go to the Flipping Junkie Facebook page, which is facebook.com/flippingjunkie. And junkie is Junkie. So facebook.com/flippingjunkie. Go ahead and like the page, because when I do a Facebook Live, it'll be on that page and you'll get notified I'm live and you'll be able to see that, or just watch the replay later. So like that page. Next thing to do, if you're not a part of the Flipping Junkie Facebook group, you should be, right? And this is a place where we can have these discussions. We can talk about these things. And I'm going to make a lot more use of this as I get into this. So join that group. It's just search for it. It's the easiest way. Just go into Facebook and search for Flipping Junkie Group, and then ask to be let into there, and I'll let you in there. All right. You also should subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/flippingjunkie. youtube.com/flippingjunkie. That's where the videos will be posted. I'll be doing some videos as well. I'll likely take some of the Facebook Lives also and put those on the YouTube channel. So those are the 3 places to make sure you capture all of what I'm going to be putting out there with all of this stuff. And I really hope that you follow along and that we get to know each other during this process. So that's the reason, it's great if you just want to, follow along from afar and not communicate. That's fine. I understand it. I get it. But I think it can be super helpful to be able to reach out to the group, reach out to me, to work through this stuff, and just as a community, I think we can all raise ourselves up. Right? I'm looking for help too, because I know there's a lot of experienced investors out there that can help me out for sure as I'm getting back into this, and I'm gonna be asking for that help too for certain resources and stuff like that. So anyway, thanks a lot for listening to the podcast. Go ahead and subscribe to this podcast too. Leave a rating and review. I know I'm asking you to do a lot of stuff, but these are all ways to make sure you follow along with this. If you're kind of tired of the disjointed information of learning all these pieces everywhere and want to have something that you can kind of follow along with as it progresses, this is perfect. So go ahead and subscribe. And over on the blog, flippingjunkie.com/follow-up, you can read the blog post of what I was just talking about, and then leave the comment saying that you're interested in following along. Just leave a comment there about that. So anyway, thanks a lot, everybody. I'm super excited about where this is going to go. I'm drawing the line in the sand, committing to doing this. I don't know how exactly it's going to unfold and look, but within the next week, I'm going to have that where I'm posting something, maybe doing a Facebook Live, where I'm showing you that reverse engineering of the goal down to what I need to be tackling this coming week. And then the progression from there, where it all goes, where it takes us. I don't know for sure, but that's the fun part, right? So thanks again for listening. I'll talk to you soon.